We are going to see what's going on the updates for Xbox Business and find out what's actually going on. Because they were talking about, no
Hello,
more.
welcome to the official
more
Xbox
Xbox
podcast. I'm your host, Tina Amini, and we have a very special episode today, as you can probably tell by the fact that I'm joined by Phil, Sarah, and Matt. Welcome.
Phil
We're
Spencer.
going to talk about some updates at Xbox. We want to talk
He's
about
my
game
friend on
exclusivity.
Xbox.
We want to talk about Activision Blizzard now that they're
You can
part of the
probably add him as
portfolio,
well.
how that might be an impact on Game Pass, and we want to talk about hardware too, and how all of this fits into the strategy at Xbox. So
The
where
guy
should
on
we
the
start, Phil?
right seems
Well,
very uncomfortable.
When we originally had planned for the show, starting back in December, I think we probably would have started with Activision Blizzard, maybe talked a little bit about the exclusivity with some of the news coming up, and then hardware. But we've had some unforeseen news that has come out. So let's just go and tackle the exclusivity question, because I know it's on the minds of a lot of people.
Oh, okay. He's going to knock it out first thing.
Input
Nice.
for us. So we made the decision that we're going to take 4 games to the other consoles. Just 4 games.
Only
Not
4
change
games.
to our kind of fundamental exclusive strategy.
Okay.
We're making these decisions for some specific reasons.
Money.
We make every decision really with the long-term health of Xbox in mind.
Money.
And long-term health of Xbox means a growing platform, our games performing, building the best platform for creators, reaching as many players as we can. We're always looking to learn as a leadership team and to grow. And we think this is an interesting point in time for us to use what some of the other platforms have right now.
Exclusives.
To have more franchises. So we're going to do that.
So these 4 titles.
What are they?
Can you say?
I'm not going to name those games.
Call of Duty.
That are building those games have an
Overwatch.
plans that are not too far away. As we know, teams put a lot of energy into their announcement.
If you know the other 2, let me know.
So,
but I know it's got to be
I don't
Call of
wanna
Duty
take
and
anything
Overwatch.
away from those teams. So I won't be talking about the titles specifically, but I think when they come out, it'll make sense.
Can we say if either of those titles are Starfield or Indiana Jones?
No.
They are not Starfield or Indiana
No,
Jones.
those are
Well,
Xbox
what was the
exclusives. Why would she
criteria and
even ask
how
that?
The team was thinking about selecting those 4 titles.
Let me start a little bit outside of that, and then I'll get to the 4 specific games that we're talking about right now. Because the fundamental decision driver for any decision that we make, anything we're going to talk about today, is the long-term health of Xbox.
Right.
That we're running a growing
Money.
platform that is reaching.
Whenever they say long-term health, they're talking about money.
Success as possible. And I do have a fundamental belief that over the next 5 or 10 years, exclusive games that are exclusive to one piece of hardware, are going to be a smaller and smaller part of the game industry. And
I
that's
hope
not
so.
some great insight, because if you look at the last 10 years and what the biggest games are today, it's a natural place.
Yeah.
Whether it's one console and PC, multiple consoles, mobile console and PC, you see big games landing on multiple platforms.
It's true.
And we want to be a great platform for creators that are trying to realize that potential. But now back to the specifics of the question on these four specific.
I like Phil. He does a good
We
job.
looked at games that are
Explaining
over a
things.
year old. So they've been on Xbox and PC for a while. A couple of the games are community-driven games, new games that kind of first iterations of a franchise that have reached their full potential, I'd say, on Xbox and PC. There's always growth. Franchises that we obviously want to continue to invest in.
Right, Halo.
Part of having
Gears.
the ability to continue to invest is that the businesses behind those franchises continue. We think it's important that these service-based games that have
Bethesda.
communities behind them, that they
I can name
have
a bunch.
confidence that they're going to exist in the future. So 2 of them, kind of community-driven games that will end up on other platforms and give us the ability to continue to invest in them. We think that's great for the business and great for the communities, more players to play with.
Oh, he's talking about
I'd say
the
2 of
games that
other
they're going to
games
be
are
moving
smaller
over.
games that were never really meant to be built as kind of platform exclusives and all the fanfare that goes around that. But games that our teams really wanted to go build, that we love supporting creative endeavors across our studios, regardless of size. And as they've realized their full potential on Xbox and PC, we see an opportunity to utilize the other platforms as a place to just drive more business value out of those games,
Money.
allowing us
Told you.
to invest in maybe future iterations of those, so sequels to those, or just other games like that in our portfolio. And when we don't damage Xbox and we can grow our business using what other platforms have and to help us with that, we're going to do that. And that's really the story behind these 4 games. And last thing I'll say, looking forward, I think there
The 2 are
is an
smaller
interesting story
games,
for us
so
to
we wouldn't know those games
introducing
anyway.
Xbox franchises to players on other,
Or we'll know them, but
to get them more
there's
interested in Xbox. We
not
think
as
there's
much of a chance
good
we'll guess it
brand
correctly.
value for Xbox there. So 4 games, no promise beyond that. So if you're on those other platforms and you see these 4 games coming, please don't take it as some signal that everything's coming. It's not. And we're going to learn.
So when you are thinking about the future and this concept of live service games that can benefit from bigger audiences, new audiences, how does that apply to future titles and how you're applying that criteria there?
Yeah, there's really no fundamental change to how we think about exclusivity. We just came out of Developer Direct, which was an awesome show, where we showed great games that are coming to Xbox and PC and cloud, which really makes them accessible to hundreds of millions.
I didn't
of people.
see that scene
So
from
it's just
Indiana
kind of-
Jones. It looks good.
We're really focused on a couple platforms and what's going to show up there. But our key of play the games you want with the people you want, anywhere you want, when everybody plays.
We could do shots tomorrow. That's fine.
These have been part of our strategy for years and will continue to be. Our focus is on how do we continue to grow the games industry by reaching more players in more places, and how do we grow Xbox as part of that. Xbox is a hardware platform, Xbox is a publisher of great games, and Xbox as a platform for the world's best creators.
And then knowing that, how do we think about our first-party games and Game Pass?
Yeah, well, to build on what Phil just said, one thing I would add, as you were talking about growth, is just that we've sort of seen this inversion over the last 5 years where it used to be that the platform was the biggest thing.
Right.
And the games would sort of tuck in
Yeah,
within
to the platform.
Today,
Yeah.
big games like a Roblox or a Fortnite could actually be bigger than any one
Yeah,
platform.
go to PC, then it comes
that
over
really
to
has changed the way that we
everything
think
else.
about things. So in the midst of all that, I think we at First Party can come back to sort of some core principles. First, that all of our games will be on the Xbox platform.
Mm-hmm.
Second, all of our games will go into Game Pass on day 1. And
Yep.
third, we know that Game Pass will only be available on Xbox.
Right.
So there's sort of starting points for us. As Phil mentioned, there are games today that you can play that only can be found on Xbox.
Right.
And at the same time, we want to bring more of our games to more players. So we're
Right.
going to continue to look at that. Kind of moving aside, though, from some of those and thinking more about what does it really mean for the player, to me, the 2 key things are cross-play and cross-save. Those things
Big
allow
things.
us to deliver
Big
on
things.
the promise of Xbox, which is play with your friends where they are, play on the devices you want.
But that would be
play
up
the
to
games you
Sony
want.
to
So
enable
that's
crossplay.
really only possible at a practical
PlayStation
level
players.
when you know that your saves and your player are going to be able to move across all those parts. So not all of our games today are necessarily built to take advantage of that. There still will be some games that don't. As we bring more teams into the Xbox family, there's some catch up to do as we get there. But that cross-play, cross-save is like so fundamental to what we're doing, and I think is something that we as First Party get such a good benefit from being so close to the platform.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's one of the things, like you said, all of our games are always in Game Pass. And so I'm excited to announce, with the coming together that we had with Activision Blizzard King, that Activision and Blizzard games are coming to Game Pass, starting
Of course.
with Diablo
We
4
already know that.
on March 28th, which I'm super
Diablo 4 is
super
going to be the
excited
first
to share
one
today.
on Game Pass.
And it's
Wow.
all part of our commitment to make Xbox, the
Game
Xbox
Pass for PC,
experience
maybe?
and the games that we build as
I'd love to
widely
play it.
available as possible. So now the 34 million.
But I don't wanna
Game
pay for it
customers
because
can all
apparently it's not
enjoy
very good.
The fantastic experience of Diablo 4.
Amazing. Can we come back to the point, Phil, you mentioned at the top, this isn't really a change in strategy for us. Can you recap for me how it isn't?
Yeah.
It's not.
And
What are you
I thought
talking about?
Both Matt and Sarah did a really nice job
Yeah,
talking
they
about
did.
what we're doing on Xbox, where we're going. If you take a platform feature like Xbox Play Anywhere,
Right.
which has been a promise that we've made on our first party games, that you can buy our game once, you're going to get to play across
Yeah.
Xbox and Windows.
Yeah.
I think we're the only platform that does this.
That is the only platform
makes
that
it
does
possible
this.
for you not only
why I
to
love
play
Microsoft.
with your
Yep.
friends wherever they are,
And Xbox.
but to know that you actually have multiple entitlements to the games.
Yeah.
I think that's a technology I would love to see applied to more platforms.
It would be awesome.
But it is this view that people are going to play Xbox in multiple places.
Right.
Whether it's play the games you want with the people
You
you
can play it
want,
on your
anywhere you
phone,
want,
at home,
whether it's
on your
content
PC.
creating cloud, whether it's when everybody plays, we all win. Like we've had different taglines,
It's all right,
strategy,
Pizza. You'll be okay.
kind of words that we've used, but always with this view that Xbox is a platform for creators who want to reach the
Why,
most
Pizza?
players. Our investments in xCloud, our investments in franchises like Minecraft and now Call of Duty and other large franchises so that we learn how to build those. This has been a strategy that we've been on for, I'd say, a decade. It's not about one device. It's not about games in
What are you
service of a
talking about?
device, but rather
What is
the
wrong with you guys?
devices that people want to play on should be in service of making the games as big and popular as they possibly could be. Because really a healthy creator community on Xbox, a healthy creator community in gaming all up is the thing that all of us as game players should be voting for, because that's the thing that will lead to the best long-term success and growth in this industry.
True.
And my understanding, just from listening and learning from you three over the past few weeks, just understanding what's happening with Xbox, is that we see trends with player behavior where people are playing on multiple devices. That is the reality.
Right.
And we have put some games out on multiple platforms before. So my understanding is that that's been good for players. How does
Yeah.
that come back to the business with all of that in mind?
Yeah, as you said, we have shipped games on other platforms. In fact, realistically, if you look with the addition of Activision and Blizzard and ZeniMax, we're one of the largest game publishers on PlayStation.
Damn
We're one
right.
of the largest publishers on the Nintendo Switch,
They sure
especially
are.
with Minecraft into the equation as well. And
Look
now
at
we're
that.
one of the largest publishers on mobile platforms as well.
Yep.
And that's not something that we want to back away from. We want
No.
to continue to be building great games
Capitalist.
that millions and millions
Capitalism.
of people can love, and that they can play those games where
Acquire all the businesses.
but we do understand the business success that Xbox has to have. Us as leaders in this business, the system today, the system that all companies that we play video games from, is a world of you got to be growing your business. Growth in our Xbox business is critical to the long-term health of Xbox.
Right.
Many people know I've been on Xbox for over 20 years.
I sure do.
I want to make sure
Feels
Xbox
awesome.
is in the best position for the next 20 years. That means healthy player community, healthy creator community, and healthy business. So when we look at opportunities to allow more people to play, more people to engage, more people to buy, more people to subscribe, it's all about putting Xbox in the best position.
Yeah, because I
And our
think
hardware
the
is a critical
Game Pass
component of
is
that. The absolute
cheaper
best
than the
experience
PlayStation Pass.
somebody has on Xbox is hardware that
Yeah.
your team builds and that people play on. But that's not going to be everybody. We fully accepted that we're going to have Xbox players across all kinds of devices.
So I think a lot of people think about 2023 as this incredible year for gaming, and in a lot of ways it was. There was some really
was okay.
amazing releases that I think we all enjoyed. But what were the signals behind the scenes that maybe indicated how we wanted to look at the future of Xbox and how we kind of keep up with the industry?
Yeah, such a good question. And I think it's, as people who
Feels
care
too
about the
nice.
industry, which
I've been
assume
like, what are you
people who are
talking
watching
about?
This, it was an amazing year. Some great launches, some of the games that I think will stand the test of time and people will be talking about a decade from now. But
It's
an
you.
industry that
Pizza,
didn't
you
really
are.
grow. And what happens when an industry doesn't grow? You end up with some job eliminations, which we had. We had even our own hard decisions to make.
No,
to
he
have the
didn't.
Sustainable business for ourselves.
No way.
But in no way were we alone in that. When you think about a healthy industry, I want players who believe that they will find the best games on the platform.
Did the kid tell everybody?
I want people who invest their careers in working here to feel like this is a place that they can be successful. And that really is down to being part of an industry that is growing.
Damn.
If you listen to Lisa Su, the AMD
The One
CEO,
Piece was
she'll
the
say
kid.
that AMD-powered consoles are likely to decline
R.I.P.
in 2024. I think there's an amazing set of games coming in 2024, but if we don't get to growing as an industry, the
I think they're
industry
going to be
will struggle.
fine. Xbox will be
And today,
good.
there's really two choices on how do you grow the industry. Do you say, I have a fixed number of players, the players that we have today, and do I find new ways to monetize those players to get more money
Right.
from the players that I have?
Or you
do
get
you
new
think
players.
about how do I expand the business
Right.
I have by finding new players and adding those to the base of players that already play? Our focus
Man, he's
on
smart,
Xbox
bro.
for the last decade has really been on that latter point
Yeah.
of how do we make sure Xbox is growing for our players, growing for our creators, so those people are finding success.
No, they're not going to.
on
They
our
said
platform,
only
which
4
will grow
games.
the Xbox
Only 4
business
games.
and put Xbox in a position to be very strong for years and decades to come.
Matt, earlier you were talking about these growing gaming communities, how they're incredibly large and comparable on such a different level when we think about console audiences. Like you mentioned Roblox, you mentioned Fortnite. So how are we're obviously
course
thinking
they
about
do.
our
What are you talking about?
responsibility, our hardware responsibility is supporting the growth of gaming communities. How has that actually shown up for the players? Are there other games we can speak to from our portfolio?
Was
as Phil
PlayStation has
mentioned,
what, 2
two of the biggest
exclusives?
ones for us, Call of Duty
Spider-Man?
and Minecraft. I mean, they are
Spider-Man, what's the
just
other
from
one?
The bottom up by the communities of people that play those games, which is so great. I think about it for the player.
They have Senua.
community, it comes
Senua's
down
coming
to
out.
where
Senua's
are the
going to be
friends, where are the
amazing.
people you play with, and then equally important is where have you built up your library?
Diablo's coming to Game Pass.
Where have you invested? Where's that library? I
I'm
think
excited to play that.
Those two things probably are some of the biggest influences on where people choose to play and what devices they choose
Absolutely.
to play.
Yeah.
When we think about, on the other side, the developer side, just any game developer wants their game to find
God of
the
War.
biggest audience
That's what it
possible.
is.
That's
Yeah,
just
God
the
of War.
nature of
But God of
building.
War
You want
just came to
people
PC,
enjoy
and I played it.
participate in what you've made. And I think we're in a
Not
unique
Ragnarok,
position
but the first
to
one.
deliver on that, just because we are the platform. We build hardware. We've got a first-party games group.
So it'll
and
come to
we've got
PC and
a
I'll play it.
system that ties that together, that brings
Shocker.
together your friends, your progression, your achievements.
The only
all of
reason
that.
I would get a
I think
PlayStation is
that's
for
really what
Bloodborne.
has contributed
That's
to
the only
momentum
reason.
behind some of these
And that's
communities.
because my
Yeah,
goal is to
absolutely. I mean,
play
when you
every
look at-
Souls game.
Just step back and you look at the history of the industry. We've moved from a place where it used to be that someone built and launched a game to accelerate hardware
What?
to actually the things we do with our hardware and with
For
our
what
platform
reason?
are all in service of making those games bigger. And we think about that across all of the investments we make, the consoles we build, the investments we do with things like cross-play, cross-progression, the things that we're doing with cloud. How do we actually give more options to game creators so they can have the greatest success? I think one of the fun recent examples about this is actually Palworld.
Palworld.
Palworld was able to launch. They were a game preview. They
Yeah.
launched in Game Pass. They also simultaneously launched in Steam.
Yeah.
So the combination of those things, Pocket Pair was able to have this outsized success, and it was the largest third-party Game Pass launch
Sure
ever.
was.
And
It
that's
still-
all because
still
we
is,
give
I think.
creators options on how they can launch their games. We've got subscription, we've got retail, we've got free-to-play, we've got game preview. We have the consoles, we have our experience on PC, and they can access all of those things. And
So
when
the
we step
developers
back
actually
and we just
decide
look
on
at
how the game
performance of
comes
our
out. That's
platform
pretty
all
cool.
up, we know it's working. We're at the highest level of users on console, the highest level of users on PC,
I'll
the
update it.
highest level of users on cloud ever. We have double-digit growth rate on PC and cloud, places where we're
could see that.
enabling creators
Yeah.
to actually reach new players beyond the console ecosystem. And that's why we're leaning
Yeah, because you
into
can play it
and
on your
doing
phone,
because we
you can
see
play it
all
on your
those things.
tablet, you can
So we're
play it on
talking
your
about the role
PC.
that hardware plays for creators, for the games and those communities. What about the role that hardware plays for us as a business, for Xbox?
When we look at our hardware, it really is, and Phil said this
That's probably a good
earlier,
question.
It's where you get like the most flagship seminal experience of Xbox. And it also represents a developer target. Our developers can build the specs of our hardware, and we invest to make sure they know when they do that the games are going to run great on our hardware, but they're also going to be able to be accessed.
They probably
across
will
any
make
screen,
that
any screen
eventually.
because of all the other investments we make. So we're giving them an
mean,
easy
Elden
way
Ring's coming
access
to
as many players
mobile.
as possible. And we actually have more creators right now building for
How's that
Xbox
gonna
than
be?
ever before by
Thousands,
nature,
yeah.
thousands of them by nature of those investments. And we got more to come. There's some exciting stuff coming out in hardware that we're going to share this holiday. And we're also invested in the next generation roadmap. And what we're really focused on there is delivering the largest technical leap you will have ever seen
Hell
in hardware
yeah.
generation, which makes it better for players and better for creators.
And they're Microsoft, so they
And when we're
definitely
talking
can
about
do
hardware,
it,
too, there's
man.
these other considerations that are really important to our community, probably to each one of ourselves as well. When you talk
I'm
about
not gonna
library,
do
'cause I want to dig in on
the
that a little bit
mobile
more.
Elden
as we
Ring.
talk about
It would
cloud
be so
and the
weird.
wider entertainment industry, there's conversations about streaming. How is that impacting how I own my content that I've invested in? So what can we say about our stance around game preservation?
Yeah, one of the highlights for me of being in this position was getting to stand on stage
Yeah.
when we announced the back compat coming to
Yeah.
Xbox One. Like
It was awesome.
fantastic. People were reading the teleprompter before I could read it.
Yeah.
Slow reader, and just feeling the energy in the.
Everybody was like, "What?" And he's like, "I haven't even said it yet."
Saying that and online. One of the cues I think us as being part of Microsoft take is looking at Windows. and
Yeah.
how Windows over decades
Yeah.
has maintained software compatibility with things that are built on it.
Yep.
Like I can still go back and play some of the games that I love playing on Windows from decades ago,
Right.
and it will still run. And we try to bring that same view to consoles. It's
Yep.
harder in console because the line between what the hardware is and what the
Right.
game is in consoles is traditionally
You're hard
divided,
stuck. Yeah.
which makes compatibility.
Man,
even
I
of
like
the
Phil.
generational
He's awesome.
compatibilities that we've built. But I will say compatibility, the ability to not only play the games, but my saves are still there with
Yeah.
our cloud save systems
Yeah.
to try to keep the services up as long as we can so that people can play is a tenet of what we are as Xbox. It's at our foundation. And when we look at future hardware generations and what we're going to support, making sure that we respect, which is the word I use, respect the investments that people have made in Xbox going forward is fundamental. And the fact that you get entitlements when you buy a game.
Yeah,
from us
because
on
they
both
come out
Windows
with
and
an Xbox now, like every
also means
8
you have
years.
the ability to play that game across a multitude of devices, which I think furthers the compatibility of the games that you own.
Can we go back to what Xbox stands for today? I think we've pretty much covered all of the elements, but if
We
you
sure
could break
have.
it down for me.
You know, when you play on Xbox, what we're saying is you're playing on a platform where you know the biggest games in the world are always going to be.
Why would you show off Minecraft
You're
Dungeons, bro?
playing on a platform where you get to access
What?
Game Pass. And all of the games from our incredible range of studios will always launch in Game Pass day one.
Yes,
And
that's
you're
awesome.
playing on a platform that's dedicated to you, like
Yeah.
player-first features.
You know how many
Crossplay,
games come out on Game
crossing,
Pass? It is
cross-progression,
ridiculous.
backwards compatibility, being able to play your games in your library anywhere you want because of the investments that we make in cloud gaming.
cloud
And so
gaming,
you're
yeah.
playing somewhere where you're investing.
You can get on somebody
take
else's
the games
Xbox
forward with
and
you
cloud
and
game off of
across
their
all the screens where
Xbox.
you are.
That's crazy.
And I think most importantly, Xbox is a place where you know when you're investing in Xbox, you're investing somewhere that is dedicated to making games more successful and creators more successful so that they can invest more to bring even better experiences to you all of the time.
Yeah, just that investment in the studios is so, and we feel that as part of first party with the platform proximity. You know, it's kind of amazing now to look out across all the studios that we've got and just be reminded that we're now one of the biggest development organizations
Oh, yeah,
in the
absolutely.
industry.
They've been
What
big
does
for
that
a
mean
while,
for
but they're
players? It
huge
means
now.
that the biggest games are going to continue.
When they
to come
acquired
to Xbox.
Bethesda,
And,
it was like,
this 2024, the year coming up.
Now they have
we've got
Blizzard,
more than 10
Activision.
major releases coming up. Great stuff. Hellblade 2.
That's gonna be
We've got
amazing.
Diablo expansion.
Oh,
We've got
really?
Avowed, Ara, the Indiana Jones
Avowed, I'm not
game.
so happy
And
about.
there's
Indiana
more
Jones looks
development,
good.
Which I think we're going to be able to share more about at our June showcase coming up
June,
soon.
nice.
Well, I
okay.
guess I should get ready to work on that show. Well, thank you all for showing up on the podcast today, and we'll see the rest of you this June.
Yeah.
Thanks, Tina.
June. Man, I like Xbox, bro. If you guys don't have an Xbox, you guys want to support Xbox, absolutely do so. They're just growing and growing and growing, getting bigger and bigger. Hell yeah.